a group like Friends of Nevada Wilderness should be funded through the commission, and that is a reasonable and understandable thing. We are essentially what I would term non-traditional partners in this. I appreciated Commissioner Elmore commenting, and I believe he summed up our intentions properly. We're here looking to build a relationship. We have examples of this approach of working with non-traditional partners to accomplish greater good for Nevada and public lands and use for all user groups. We've produced positive results. We are anxious to work with non-traditional partners because in order to get anything done, I think everybody has to work together for a common goal. To ensure that we as Nevadans have the ability to enjoy varied recreational opportunities and all recreational opportunities on public land. And I strongly believe that. I spend a lot of time out four-wheeling and enjoying Nevada. It's virtually impossible to do that without a vehicle off-road because of the vastness of our state. As Commissioner Elmore pointed out, we want to promote responsible use, and as I said before, going at it alone is not the answer. We need to work together and make things, good things happen. We were quite surprised at the backlash that ensued following the February 1st meeting when Friends of Nevada Wilderness essentially became the piñata at the party, so to speak. And at the phone meeting following that, some puzzling responses and comments came up, and we luckily have been able to address those with the individuals involved. But that was the first time we heard of legal action filed by one group to stop disbursement of grants.
Mr. Bruce, could you finish your thought?
Luckily, we've been able to turn things into a positive process. We have current projects planned with the Hills Angels. We are working with Moran and Zach Lavery to work in the South McCullough in southern Nevada. We got a contract with the Forest Service to put in ATV-friendly cattle crossings in the Santa Rosa area this season. And we hope that things move forward as were planned initially and without further issue. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Bruce. Is there any public comment in Elko? Mr. Griggs?
Not right now. Former Commissioner Glenn's here, but he has no comment at this time.
All right. Say hello to Mr. Glenn for us. All right. Las Vegas, your public comment. First.
Yes, we do have public comment down here.
Go ahead. Please instruct the person giving public comment to speak up. It is a little hard to hear them up here. Name and organization for the record, sir.
Robert Adams, Land Use Officer for the Motorcycle Association of Nevada, Moran. We're a nonprofit, been around since 1968. This letter was read for approval at the March 3rd general meeting of Moran. That, dear commissioners of the Nevada Commission on Off-Highway Vehicles, we members of Moran feel that paying taxes is an obligation, but we feel better paying when we feel our money is being well spent, especially regarding special use fees like registration. Based on the recent grants awarded by the Nevada Commission on Off-Highway Vehicles, we do not feel that those fees paid for OHV registrations are being well spent, nor for the overall benefit of OHV recreation and sport. Regarding the trash pickups, the BLM has typically paid for the dumpsters. The volunteers do the work. Here we're picking up an expense that was prior paid by others. Grants to purchase OHVs. For common benefit projects, vehicles have typically been donated by OHV manufacturers, businesses, and organizations. By making such grants, the OHV fund can be quickly drained and funds taken away from trail expansion and improvement projects. It takes 800 to 900 OHV registrations to pay for one moderately priced side-by-side OHV. And we feel that money could be better spent. OHVers typically own OHVs. The use of their OHVs is typically donated along with their time. And following right behind the Nevada Friends of Wilderness, of particular concern are the grants that were made to Nevada Friends of Wilderness, especially the one to purchase an OHV. The Nevada Friends of Wilderness have consistently argued the anti-access side of OHV access issues. Our understanding was the bulk of the OHV registration dollars were to go to expanding and improving OHV sport and recreation opportunities in Nevada. And in this round of grants, we see no coherent plan to achieve that purpose.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Adams. Next.
Excuse me, Commissioner Jackson, could you please find out whether Mr. Adams' letter has been submitted to the record prior to this, or if he is able to submit
Mr.
it?
Adams, did you send your letter to the commission?
He has not. He's handing it to us.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next person, name and organization for the record, please.
My name's Anthony Laveri. I'm president of Moran and president of the Silver State Trailblazers. And we did discuss this OHV grant process in our last monthly meeting, as Mr. Adams stated. And our members don't support purchasing OHVs with grant money, really, because we feel OHV people should already have OHVs. And as the letter said, when you volunteer or help do public land projects with the BLM, they will typically give you signs, they'll pay for dumpsters. What they really need is labor. Our group, one of our members went out, I think it was last year, out at Jean, and we put up a whole bunch of fence, probably close to a mile's worth fencing off pit areas. We got all the fencing material donated, the BLM donated the signs, and we did the work. So we just don't feel it's a good use of money by paying for dumpsters, signs, or the OHV vehicles for OHV groups. Then with that being said, I did talk to the gentleman from Friends of the Wilderness on the phone, and our group will work with any group on any project that enhances OHV for the state of Nevada. So I think that's where he's getting where we said we work with him. And then item number 10 on the agenda, our group supports putting the ad in the wildlife brochures. We think that's a really good idea. We hope you guys see fit to pass that. Commend you on that effort. And we were concerned with item 12 that you guys will be discussing later about the changing the grant process or formulating new regulations. I think a couple people spoke to that before. We just feel that you guys never fully used the process that was set forth before the grant process started for this first go-around, and how could you even know that's broke if you never follow the original process of the scoring and the grading? So we really think you should at least try to do the original process once, so you'll know where the problems are, and to just start making new regulations before you've done that, we feel is kind of a disservice to us. And then last, my brother put in a grant, and he couldn't be here today. It was for the Caliente motocross area, and while we know we rushed that grant, we didn't do the best job, so we're not too surprised it didn't get funded. But we've never officially, or my brother's never officially received any communication from the commission, and even though we kind of know where it stands through verbal, we just think it'd be very professional for the commission to send out letters to all the grant applications, or whatever you call them, applications, just so they know where they stand, and maybe a couple comments like where we could do better so we can improve and maybe be successful in the future. And that's really what I gotta say right now, and I want to thank every member of the commission for their time. And I know it's been a rough out of the chute, but I think if we all work together and keep that in mind, that we can get to where we need to be and have a successful program. And I guess one last thing, because the last one wasn't the last, is I'd like to invite any member of the commission to attend our monthly Moran meetings. They're the first Monday of the month, 7 p.m. at the Blue Ox Tavern, and just, it'd be nice if you guys ever want to come. Mr. Lambert's attended one because he is the representative for competitive
Going to
use.
ask you, I have to ask you to wind it up,
But our
sir.
door, yeah, I'll wind up. 2 minutes short. Just, the door's always open, and I feel that's the best way to communicate the process, and thank you.
All righty, the next person?
Paul, that's all for Las Vegas.
All right, terrific. All right, is there any other public comment anywhere? Las Vegas, Carson? Okay, great. All right. Any commissioners would like to make any comments before we move on? All right, I just want to deal with a couple of quick comments. I believe it was Orber in a letter raised the question about appeals. We did have in our rules, and we did allow people to do this. They could make a verbal, if they felt that the process had been unfair to them in any way, shape, or form, they could make an appeal on the Saturday. Everybody was encouraged to be there on the Saturday. The appeal could be a verbal appeal and would have been heard, and we would have addressed any concerns at that time. The reason that we didn't have the final grants funding meeting until the 6th of February, again, was to allow people to file written appeals. At our last meeting, we extended that period until the 12th of March for anybody wishing to make an appeal. So I don't feel that that was a fair point that, we didn't give people a chance to do appeals. Secondly, the notice, and this has been brought up by a couple of people, and they're absolutely right. There was no notice given, and I apologize for that personally. The reality was that we didn't know what to tell people. We were in a situation where we were told we were going to be sued, or there was a TRO going to be filed. We had no, is that incorrect, sir? That's exactly what you said. All right, never mind. We were in a position where we were being threatened with lawsuit or TRO by Mr. Quaid and his clients. The reality is we had frozen the grants. We didn't know at that time or this time even whether those grants were going to be funded late, not funded at all, recycled in some way or anything. So we really didn't have an opportunity to tell people what was going on. I apologize to all of those people that didn't get that information, and I invited any of them to email us or call us. Hopefully after today's meeting, we will have a status, and we will be able to contact all of the people who did the hard work and applied for a grant and tell them exactly what our status is after it's been decided, of course. Let's see, as for the scoring, I think there's a misconception about the scoring. The scoring was done to rule people out. If somebody had a low score, they wouldn't have went on to the next stage, which is typical of say, in Nevada Parks and Recreation. If you don't score high enough, you don't go on to the next stage. We had a problem with the scoring. A couple of commissioners didn't do their scoring on Friday and weren't going to have this scoring available to be counted on Sunday morning. We didn't take a formal vote. We basically did a consensus of the commission, and the consensus of the commission was to move on. All of the grants were considered. Nobody was ruled out. Every single one of the grants was considered at the meeting on Saturday. We went over every single one. We discussed every single one of those grants. I personally, and I haven't asked every single person on the commission, but I feel that I would be realistic in saying that at least most of the people on the commission and most of the people who were watching the system would feel that that was fair. We gave everybody an equal chance. So that's kind of all I have to say on that subject right now. Again, is there any commissioners who wish to make a comment? Seeing none. In the interest of speed, and I know we want to get to a couple of these more key items a little quickly, and if we do run out of time, I don't want those left hanging. I'm going to move the agenda around a little bit. Items 14 and 15 are both items to do with committees and appointing people to committees and those types of things. I will not be the chair after next week of the commission, and I think it's really the prerogative of the chair to decide who is on which committee and how those committees should be run. So I'm looking for a motion to table items 14 and 15 until the next meeting. Is there anybody who has that motion? Mr. Elmore.
Commissioner Elmore, I make a motion that we table agenda items 14 and 15 to the next meeting or after the next chairman has been chosen.
All right. And by the next meeting, I meant after the election, which will be at the next meeting. There'll be an item right after that. Is there a second?
Commissioner Giroux, I'll second that.
Thank you, Commissioner Giroux. Is there any discussion? I'm seeing none. I'm going to move to the vote. Are there any abstentions? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any nay votes? Seeing none, the motion passes unanimously. Thank you. All right. I would like also to move item 10 to the front of the line here. Okay, this item was brought forward by Mr. Elmore. Would you like to address the item, Mr. Elmore?
Sure. Commissioner Elmore, for the record. Given the time sensitivity, and particularly in regards to a couple of the upcoming NDOW, Nevada Department of Wildlife, print media materials, the hunt application book for big game tag applicants, as well as the hunt guidelines books. Both of them are annual publications. NDOW reached out to me in regards to being able to do a couple of pro OHV program ads within those publications. This is simply a solicitation of the funds necessary. They have internal folks to work up the creative, and they've got some ideas there. We are getting a very friendly rate, given that it is done in-house and that NDOW sees mutual benefit in the promotion of the program. So I believe that the total expense for both publications for a full page was roughly $2,000. Once again, that is at a significant discount. We would simply need to approve these funds. It would be a reimbursement once the materials have been done and printed.
Is that a motion, Mr. Elmore?
I can make a motion.
Please.
This is Commissioner Elmore. I make a motion that we approve up to, call it $2,500, in order for there to be a pro OHV ad in the NDOW's hunt book and hunt guideline book. And I would say that the guidelines for the ad have been to mimic the pro OHV concept that's on the OHV website. It's just been slightly tweaked to match the demographic.
Is there a second?
Commissioner McKay will second that.
All right, thank you, Ms. McKay. Do we have any further discussion?
Yes, we do. Is this money to be administrative money, or is this release of a grant?
Administrative.
I believe this would be money from the grant pool, which we're allowed to do.
No. I would be strongly opposed to this. We have several grant issues. We don't have ratified regulations. We don't have regulations to run under as an organization. This leaves us liable to all sorts of additional actions, and that's inappropriate. If we have administrative money to loan $2,000 to them until it's settled, that would be wonderful. That's all.
Mr. Geddes, do you have, since it was brought up that this may be a legal issue?
I think
think the question that's being asked of me is for my opinion concerning the idea that this would be funded from administrative grant funds. Is that correct? Is that the question? Yeah. My recommendation would be against that. It appears that the commission has many other items agendized to address what's going to be done with the entire rulemaking procedure, the entire regulations, and to the degree that funding from here would run afoul of that, I agree with Commissioner Lambert.
Okay, Commissioner Cox, as our finance guy, could we take $2,500 out of our administrative funds?
I'm looking for paperwork, but my initial response would be no, based on the budget that was set forward at the beginning of the year. Our administration funds are limited severely by the amount of money that was in our pot at the end of the year. And I do see that we have a discretionary budget line item for travel for commissioners of $5,000, that we could take money out of that if the commissioners would agree not to turn in travel expenses.
Okay.
But other than that, I don't see any place in here.
All right, thanks, sir.
This is Will Geddes with the Attorney General's Office. I would caution the commission to evaluate whether or not apportioning money that's earmarked for one use can fund activity in another use. The NRS specifically gives you parameters and apportionment principles by percentage breakdown. And even if the commissioners were to agree not to fund or not to submit travel requests, you want to be absolutely sure that you haven't exceeded whatever category percentage-wise the statute allows you to exceed.
So we couldn't borrow the money.
This is Commissioner Baker, and I
Go
just have
ahead.
a question maybe of the attorney. It's my understanding under the NRS that we have those categories that we can award grants to, but that we can also use outside the grant process. So do we discuss that in the grant regulations, or do we discuss that as a separate agenda item identifying funds we might want to hold out outside the grant process? How would we address that?
I'm proceeding on the understanding that this entire discussion falls within the agendized item that Commissioner Elmore has raised. I was simply referring to NRS 490.069. It basically sets constraints on how you spend money, how your budget is apportioned. And all I'm suggesting here is that if you think you're freeing money up and that gives you the green light to go ahead and fund an activity, I'm cautioning the commission to consider that you still have to work within those parameters under 490.069. Percentages have to go into certain categories. That's all.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, sir.
based on a couple of valid questions that came up, I'm withdrawing my second.
All righty. The motion is there. Is there somebody else who wishes to second the motion? Okay, the motion dies.
John Griggs.
Oh, go ahead, sir.
I'm sorry, I was going to second it just to finish the discussion.
All right, thank you, sir. So you are seconding for discussion. All right. Is there any further discussion on this item? All right. All in favor of...
Can you clarify what the motion is?
Okay, I was just about. All in favor of allowing $2,500 to be taken out of the commission's grantable funds to be used for the wildlife print ad, please indicate by saying yay.
Yay.
I see one,
Yay.
two, All opposed indicate by saying nay.
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 All right, the nays have it. The motion is defeated. All right, moving right along to, I'm going to pick up on item 11. This should be a pretty simple item for us to go through. This is brought forward by Commissioner Lee. Would you like to handle this, Mr. Lee? Commissioner Lee?
Yes, this is a letter that we need to do from the commission to a letter of intent to the Office of Criminal Justice Assistance. Michelle Hamilton, I don't know, she should be there and can tell us exactly what we need to have in this letter. I do not have a letter drafted, but we just need the permission of the commission to go ahead and draft a letter and get this process moving, even though it seems like the funding is going to take a while.
All right, in the interest of time, what we could do is just have, what was her name?
Michelle Hamilton.
Michelle, contact the secretary if the motion goes forward and just have them put the draft together. There's no need for us to go into the details right now. So, Commissioner Lee, is that going to be a motion?
Yes, that will be a motion.
Okay, the motion is for the commission to draft said letter to go to the criminal justice assistance, which would allow them to, I believe, do the billing.
Are you, yeah,
It
for the
would be
record.
to administer the law enforcement grant.
All right, terrific.
Yes.
All right, is there a second?
Commissioner McKay will second
I'll
that.
second.
John Griggs, second.
Okay, Mr. McKay beat you to the button. John, I'm sorry. So Mr. McKay has seconded that. Is there any further discussion? I'm seeing
Yeah,
none.
the only further
Go-
dis-
One second,
The only
sir.
further discussion.
This is Will Geddes with the Attorney General's office. I want to make sure that the record is clear and that this is understood. Is this agenda item saying that grant funds will be administered by a particular organization? Is that the...
Correct.
Okay, in line with my former advice,
That's statute. That's in the statute, that they will administer those law.
This is part of the statute. This is just nothing
Right.
more than a formality we have to do.
It's to get a work program.
this isn't part of the grant award process?
No.
Well, the intent is, should these monies be available? Well, we would be administering the 20% going to law enforcement. In order for us to do that, we would need authority within our budget. And so the letter of intent would be allow us to go forward with the work program to create
The only
that authority.
The only cautionary point I would like to make here at this point is, to the degree it's interpreted that a court or otherwise were to interpret that a regulation involving the grant process in general is required to be in place before this type of activity could, even a letter of intent could be approved, it may run afoul of that. And specifically, I would just simply reference NRS 490.068, subsection 2, which in part discusses the manner in which applications are submitted, awarding grants, as that subsection B, subsection C, involving the acceptable determination for the performance of work. So my recommendation would be to be extremely careful about that.
All right, do we have any further discussion? Mr.
Yeah.
Lambert?
Yes, I think that given the difficulties that we're currently in, I want a full knowledge of what Michelle's letter incorporates so that I don't end up afoul some way. So if that's on the agenda, let's hear it, please.
May we have the madam's name for the record, please?
Go ahead, Michelle.
For the record, my name is Michelle Hamilton, and I'm a grant analyst for the Office of Criminal Justice Assistance. Basically, what I let Commissioner Lee know, it's my understanding that 20% will be awarded to the law enforcement, going to be managed by the Office of Criminal Justice Assistance. We were happy that you entrusted us to the task. In order for us to get authority to accept the funding, we need a letter from you to us on OHVA letterhead letting us know that is your intention intentions for us to administer the funds and how much in round numbers we would be expected to manage. Also, we would need to know our fiscal point of contact for the OHV when transferring funds from OHV account to OCJ account, and account information to be set up for electronic transfer capabilities.
Thank you very much, Michelle. I appreciate that.
All righty, do I have any further discussion? All right, seeing none, I'm going to call for the vote. All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed?
Nay.
Aye, or opposed?
Okay,
Nay.
I'm calling call for division. I'm going to have Kathy read off each commissioner's name. At that time, please say yay or nay to the motion. Kathy?
Commissioner Cox,
Nay.